Welcome to today's video, where we dive into the ever-expanding world of open-world games. From epic fantasy realms to post-apocalyptic landscapes, open-world games have given us some of the most immersive and vast gaming experiences out there. We'll be exploring the latest and greatest titles that have taken the genre to new heights, showcasing the freedom, exploration, and adventure that make these games so captivating. Whether you're a seasoned explorer or just curious about what's out there, stay tuned as we journey through the top open-world games you won't want to miss. Let's talk about Assassin's Creed Mirage, the latest entry in the Assassin's Creed series. If you're a fan of the classic Assassin's Creed games, this one is definitely going to catch your attention. So, Mirage takes us back to the roots of the series, both in terms of gameplay and setting. It's set in 9th century Baghdad during the Golden Age of Islam, a time when the city was a vibrant hub of culture, science, and politics. You play as Basim, a character some of you might recognize from Assassin's Creed Valhalla. But in Mirage, we get to see him before he becomes the cunning master assassin we know. What's really cool about Mirage is how it focuses more on stealth, parkour, and assassinations, just like the old-school Assassin's Creed games. It's a bit of a throwback to the original vibe, with a tighter, more narrative-driven experience rather than the massive open worlds we've seen in recent titles. The developers have really emphasized the idea of one hit, one kill, so sneaking around and planning your attacks is more important than ever. The city of Baghdad is brought to life with stunning detail, and the environment is packed with things to do. You'll be exploring narrow alleys, climbing iconic buildings, and blending into bustling markets. It's got that classic Assassin's Creed feel, where the city itself is a playground for you to navigate and use to your advantage. Overall, Assassin's Creed Mirage feels like a love letter to longtime fans of the series, while still bringing in fresh elements to keep things exciting. If you've been craving that nostalgic Assassin's Creed experience, this game is definitely one to check out. Rise of the Ronin is shaping up to be a really cool game, and if you're into open-world action RPGs, it's definitely one to keep an eye on. It's being developed by Team Ninja, the same folks behind games like Nioh and Ninja Gaiden, so you can expect some slick combat and challenging gameplay. The game is set in Japan during a really fascinating period called the Bakumatsu era, which is the late 19th century. This was a time of huge change in Japan, as the country was opening up to the West after centuries of isolation. You play as a Ronin, which is basically a samurai without a master, so you're a bit of a free agent in this chaotic time. What's cool about Rise of the Ronin is that it's not just about swinging swords and fighting, it's also about exploring a world that's caught between tradition and modernity. You'll see samurais alongside rifles and traditional Japanese towns mixed with Western influences. The story is all about navigating this complex world, making choices that shape your character's path and the fate of those around you. Diablo 4 is the latest installment in the legendary action RPG series from Blizzard, and it's looking like a return to form for fans of the franchise. If you've played any of the previous Diablo games, you know what you're getting into: dark, gritty fantasy, loads of loot, and tons of demons to slay. But Diablo 4 is upping the ante in a lot of ways. First off, the world of Sanctuary is now a fully open world. That means you're not just moving from dungeon to dungeon anymore. You can explore massive, interconnected zones filled with all kinds of horrors, secrets, and events. Each area has its own unique feel, from haunted forests to desolate deserts, and the game is designed to encourage exploration. There are also these massive world bosses that require a bunch of players to take down, so it's got a bit of that MMO vibe in there too. Speaking of vibes, Diablo 4 is going back to the series' roots with a much darker tone. It's got that grim, gothic atmosphere that fans of the original games loved, and it's pretty clear that Blizzard is aiming to make this one the scariest and most intense entry in the series. The story revolves around the return of Lilith, the daughter of Mephisto, who's stirring up all kinds of chaos and corruption. The world feels dangerous and unpredictable, which is perfect for a game like this. Visually, the game is stunning. The environments are rich with detail, and the monsters are beautifully grotesque. It's a dark, beautiful world that really pulls you in. And because it's an open world, the game feels bigger and more immersive than ever before. Overall, Diablo 4 looks like it's going to be an epic return to what made the series so popular in the first place. Dark, challenging, and insanely fun. Whether you're a veteran of the series or a newcomer, there's a lot to be excited about. It's definitely one of the most anticipated games, and I can't wait to dive into that world and start slaying demons again. Hogwarts Legacy is a dream come true for Harry Potter fans. It's an open-world action RPG set in the wizarding world, but here's the twist. You're not following Harry, Hermione, or any of the usual gang. Instead, the game is set in the 1800s, way before their time, which means you get to experience Hogwarts and the wizarding world in a completely new way. You play as a student who's just starting at Hogwarts, but there's something special about you. You've got the ability to wield ancient magic, and it's up to you to figure out why. The story is all about uncovering secrets, exploring mysterious ruins, and deciding how you're going to use your powers. Will you be a hero, or will you lean into the dark side? The choices you make throughout the game will shape your journey and the kind of wizard or witch you become. One of the coolest things about Hogwarts Legacy is how much freedom you have. You can choose your Hogwarts house, Gryffindor, Slytherin, Hufflepuff, or Ravenclaw, and each house has its own common room with unique details and vibes. You'll attend classes like potions, herbology, and defense against the dark arts, learning new spells and abilities that you can use in and out of combat. The open-world aspect of the game is massive. You can explore not just Hogwarts, but also the Forbidden Forest, Hogsmeade, and other locations that fans will recognize. The world is full of magical creatures, hidden treasures, and plenty of secrets to discover. And it's not just about following the main storyline. You can take on side quests, interact with other students and characters, and really dive into the world at your own pace. Visually, the game is stunning. Hogwarts has been brought to life with incredible detail. You'll see the moving staircases, the enchanted ceiling in the Great Hall, and so much more. It's like stepping right into the movies or the books, but with your own story to tell. Overall, Hogwarts Legacy isn't just a game for Harry Potter fans. It's a deep, immersive RPG that offers a fresh take on the wizarding world. Whether you're casting spells, exploring the school grounds, or uncovering ancient mysteries, there's always something exciting to do. It's the kind of game that lets you live out your own wizarding adventure. And honestly, who wouldn't want that? Starfield is the game that's got everyone talking, especially if you're into space exploration and epic RPGs. It's Bethesda's first new universe in 25 years, which is a big deal, considering these are the same folks who gave us Skyrim in the Fallout series. So imagine all the massive, immersive worlds you've loved in those games, but now it's set in space. The game is basically a spacefaring RPG where you play as a member of Constellation, a group of explorers searching for rare artifacts across the galaxy. The cool thing is that you get to create your own character and shape your own journey. Whether you want to be a tough-as-nails space cowboy, a sneaky smuggler, or a science-focused explorer, it's all up to you. The game gives you a ton of freedom to play how you want, which is classic Bethesda. One of the biggest draws of Starfield is just how vast the game is. We're talking about over 1,000 planets that you can explore. Each planet has its own unique environment, creatures, and resources, so there's always something new to discover. And it's not just empty space. You've got space stations, outposts, and whole cities to explore, each with its own storylines and quests. It feels like Bethesda took everything they've learned from their previous games and expanded it to an intergalactic scale. Visually, Starfield is stunning. The environments are incredibly detailed, whether you're walking through a bustling spaceport or exploring a barren moon. And the level of detail in the ships and space stations really makes you feel like you're part of this huge, lived-in universe. Overall, Starfield is like the ultimate space RPG. It's got that signature Bethesda freedom where you can do whatever you want. Ghost of Tsushima is one of those games that really pulls you into its world from the moment you start playing. It's set in 1274 during the Mongol invasion of Japan, and you play as Jin Sakai, a samurai fighting to protect his home, the island of Tsushima. But what's cool about this game is that it's not just a straight-up samurai story. It's about Jin's transformation from a traditional samurai into something more, a ghost who fights using unconventional methods. The game is all about open-world exploration, and let me tell you, the island of Tsushima is absolutely gorgeous. The developers at Sucker Punch nailed the look and feel of feudal Japan. You've got these stunning landscapes, golden fields, bamboo forests, snowy mountains that make you want to just wander around and soak it all in. The attention to detail is incredible, and there's a cinematic quality to the game that makes every moment feel epic. Combat is a big part of Ghost of Tsushima, and it's really satisfying. As a samurai, you can face enemies head-on in intense, skill-based sword fights where timing and precision are key. You can even challenge enemies to standoffs, where you try to take them down in one swift move. But as the story progresses, Jin starts adopting stealthier, more ninja-like tactics. Think sneaking up on enemies, using smoke bombs, and taking them out silently. The game gives you the freedom to switch between these styles, so you can fight however you like. The story is another strong point. It's not just about fighting off the Mongols. It's also about Jin's internal struggle as he starts to question the samurai code he's lived by his whole life. You get to see how this affects his relationships with other characters, like his uncle, Lord Shimura, who's like a father figure to him. The game does a great job of making you care about these characters and the choices Jin has to make. Exploration is really rewarding in Ghost of Tsushima. The game doesn't clutter your screen with waypoints or markers. Instead, it uses natural elements like the wind to guide you to your next objective, which feels really immersive. There are tons of side quests, secrets, and collectibles that help you learn more about the world and upgrade your abilities. One thing that stands out is how much the game respects Japanese culture. There's even a Kurosawa mode that lets you play the game in black and white, with film grain and audio effects that make it feel like an old samurai movie by Akira Kurosawa. It's a nice touch for fans of classic samurai cinema. Overall, Ghost of Tsushima is more than just a game. It's an experience. Whether you're into action-packed sword fights, deep storytelling, or just exploring beautiful worlds, this game has something for everyone. It's one of those games that sticks with you long after you finish playing, and it's definitely worth checking out if you haven't already. The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom is the long-awaited sequel to Breath of the Wild, and it's everything fans have been hoping for, and then some. If you love the open-world freedom and exploration of Breath of the Wild, then Tears of the Kingdom is going to blow your mind because it takes all of that and adds even more layers to it. So, the game picks up with Link and Zelda dealing with a new threat to Hyrule. This time around, things get even crazier because the world is not just on the ground. Now you can explore the skies above Hyrule too. These floating islands add a whole new dimension to exploration, and it really feels like you're uncovering secrets both high and low, with tons of new places to discover. One of the coolest things about Tears of the Kingdom is how it builds on the systems from Breath of the Wild, but introduces new mechanics that change the way you play. For example, there's a new ability called Recall, which lets you rewind the movement of objects. Imagine an enemy throws a rock at you, and you can send it right back at them. Then there's Fuse, where you can combine different objects to create unique weapons or tools. Like, you could fuse a stick with a boulder to make a hammer, or mix a bomb with an arrow for some explosive results. It's super creative and adds a lot of fun to how you approach puzzles and combat. The story's also deeper, with more focus on the lore of Hyrule and the ancient civilizations that once existed. There's a sense that you're piecing together this grand, epic tale as you explore, and it's filled with twists that keep you hooked. And of course, the game is just stunning. The art style carries that same beautiful, painterly look from Breath of the Wild, but the new environments, especially the Sky Islands, are breathtaking. The music, too, really adds to the atmosphere, making every moment feel special. Tears of the Kingdom also brings back that sense of freedom that made Breath of the Wild so special. You can tackle objectives in any order, experiment with different strategies, and just lose yourself in this huge living world. Whether you're solving puzzles, battling enemies, or just gliding through the skies, the game constantly rewards your curiosity. Overall, The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom is everything fans loved about Breath of the Wild, but bigger, deeper, and even more adventurous. It's the kind of game where you'll always find something new to do, and it's sure to be a huge hit. If you're a Zelda fan or just love open-world games, this is one you absolutely can't miss. Dead Island 2 is finally here, and it's bringing back that over-the-top zombie action that made the first game so much fun. This time, the chaos is set in a sun-soaked, post-apocalyptic version of Los Angeles, fittingly called Hell A. Picture this: palm trees, beaches, and tons of zombies. The story kicks off with you as one of the few survivors who's actually immune to the zombie virus. But instead of just trying to survive, you're diving headfirst into the madness, taking on zombies in some of the most brutal, creative ways possible. The game is all about action, and it doesn't hold back. What's really cool about Dead Island 2 is the combat. It's super gory, super satisfying, and it gives you a ton of freedom to take out zombies however you want. You can use anything from makeshift weapons like electrified machetes to good old-fashioned fists. The game's flesh system, yep, that's what they call it, makes every hit feel visceral. You see bones break, skin tear, and zombies get absolutely wrecked in real time. The setting in Hell A adds a lot to the experience too. You're fighting through iconic LA spots, from the Hollywood Hills to Venice Beach, all while trying to survive waves of undead. And because it's LA, there's this weird mix of laid-back vibes and total carnage that makes the game feel unique. And it's not just about mindless zombie killing, though there's plenty of that. The game has a story that's full of dark humor and interesting characters. You'll meet all kinds of quirky survivors who either need your help or just add to the craziness. Plus, there are plenty of side quests and challenges to keep you busy, whether you're tracking down rare weapons or taking on hordes in style. Overall, if you're into zombie games, Dead Island 2 is a must-play. It's got that perfect mix of humor, horror, and non-stop action that makes it hard to put down. Whether you're slicing through zombies with a katana or exploring the crazy world of Hell A, there's always something wild going on. Definitely worth checking out if you're looking for some gory, over-the-top fun. Black Myth: Wukong is one of those games that's got everyone hyped, and for good reason. It looks absolutely incredible. It's an action RPG based on the classic Chinese novel Journey to the West, which is all about the legendary Monkey King, Sun Wukong. If you're into mythological tales, epic boss battles, and stunning visuals, this game is definitely one to watch. I'll play as Wukong, the Monkey King himself, and the game really dives into his powers and abilities. He's known for being a trickster, a master of transformation, and an all-around badass with a staff that can change size and shape. The game lets you use all of these abilities in creative ways, whether you're fighting enemies, solving puzzles, or exploring the world. You can shapeshift into different forms, like a giant insect to sneak past enemies, or even clone yourself to confuse them in battle. It's all about using Wukong's powers to outsmart your foes, and it looks like so much fun. Combat in Black Myth: Wukong is fast, fluid, and intense. It's got a bit of that Souls-like vibe, where timing and precision are key, but with a lot of variety thanks to Wukong's powers. The bosses are a big highlight, these massive, mythical creatures that look straight out of Chinese folklore. Each one has its own unique challenges, so you'll need to really think about how you're going to take them down. One thing that stands out about this game is how gorgeous it is. The visuals are stunning, with incredibly detailed environments, lifelike animations, and effects that make the world feel alive. Whether you're wandering through a dense bamboo forest, climbing up snowy mountains, or facing off against a colossal beast, every scene looks like it's been carefully crafted to draw you in. Overall, Black Myth: Wukong is shaping up to be something special. It's got this mix of deep, challenging gameplay, a fascinating story, and jaw-dropping visuals that make it stand out from the crowd. If you're into mythological stories or just love a good action RPG, this is definitely a game to keep on your radar. People are already calling it one of the most anticipated games of the next few years, and from what we've seen so far, it's easy to see why.